Um, very few of us have the cash to pay for things right now. So we need credit to get the things that we need. You need credit if you need credit to pay your vendors, if you're in retail, you need credit to pay for office supplies and business cards, your utility bills, if you're paying utility bills, if you have a brick and mortar operation. So these things are, excuse me, poor air quality. These things are essential. Maintaining good credit is just essential if you want to do business in today's society. That's why you need it. Now, how you do it? You take care of your credit by essentially paying your bills on time, not overextending yourself, keeping your cash flow to where it needs to be, things of that nature. So that's how we get that done. Credit repair is fixing your bad credit, or as I said, challenging or disputing errors on your credit report. That is the one thing that we all can do. Now, there are several ways to challenge errors on your credit. We're going to talk about your credit report here in just a second. But what you want to do is have all of your information together. Now, there are several ways that you can do that. You can do it yourself, which is a long, difficult, and cumbersome process, but you can do it. Or you can hire a credit repair firm. There are a lot of them out there, some good, some not so good. We're going to show you tonight the questions that you should ask if you should engage a credit repair firm, okay? The impact of poor credit, okay? There are several major things that your credit impacts. First of all, it makes it more difficult to borrow money. It makes it extremely difficult to borrow. You may not be able to qualify for credit cards. You will be subject to higher interest rates. And as we know, interest rates are going up all the time now. So again, you will be subject to higher insurance premiums or not being able to get insurance at all. If you are working for someone or you are seeking employment, it will make it more difficult for you to find a job. Bad credit report reflects on your job search. It will also make it more difficult for you to rent an apartment if that's what you're looking for, because a lot of landlords now are looking at credit reports as they're evaluating tenants. So make sure that you get your credit report checked. One of the bullet points that we have on here is having to resort to less preferable lenders. That is a situation that you'll run into when we talk about higher interest rates. The terms of your loan, you won't be able to dictate. You'll have to have them dictated to you. And that's not always a good thing. So let us be mindful about our credit reports. Now we'll talk about your credit score, okay? There are two types of credit scores. First, we'll talk about your FICO score. And everybody wants to know, what is FICO? What is FICO? What is FICO? Okay. FICO stands for Fair Income Corporation. Or excuse me, I'm sorry. Fair Isaac Corporation. It was a company that started in 1989, and they used a mathematical model to determine your credit score using your credit history and your payment schedules to determine your credit worthiness. They assigned a number to that. It's not like Starburst. It's not, in a volcano and all of that nonsense, but it is a patented scoring system that they use to determine your credits. Your FICO score is the range is between 300 and 850, and it's only used by Fair Isaac Credit, Fair Isaac Corporation to do your credit score, to determine your credit worthiness. The other credit scores are used by the credit reporting agencies. There are three: Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. How do you get your credit score? You get a copy of your credit report. Okay. You are entitled to one free copy of your credit report every year. All you have to do, and we'll get you the email address. You can see it on the bottom of the screen. You go to annualcreditreport.com, request a copy of your credit report, and they will send it to you. The FTC, Federal Trade Commission, has determined through one of their studies that 1 in 5 consumers has at least one error on their credit report. Now, what's an error? An error on your credit report is either a bill you paid that was improperly reported. It could be a result of identity theft, which is really big right now. So you have to get your credit report, because there may be things that you have no idea are on your credit report. I had a client once that came to me that on their credit report was failure to pay for a brand new Acura. That client never bought a brand new Acura. Someone opened an account in their name, got a loan, bought an Acura, and then didn't pay for it. So get your credit report so that you will be mindful of everything that's on your credit report and making sure that it's accurate. Part of calculating your credit part of calculating your credit report is your history of debt repayment. A third of your credit score is your history of debt repayment. Do you pay on time? Do you have anything collections? Do you have you filed bankruptcy? Are there any foreclosures? Have you been sued? Those are things that negatively impact your credit report. Now, negative impacts only stay on your credit report for 7 years. That's the law. It doesn't matter what it is. I know there are myths and rumors and BS out there about a bankruptcy stays on your credit report forever. And the only thing that will stay on your credit report longer than 7 years is a lien. Anything else must come off after 7 years, which is another reason that it's imperative that you get your credit report every year so that you can make sure that errors and things that shouldn't be on there come off. Your ability to repay your current debt and your capacity to manage additional debt, your current balances, your credit age. Credit age means the amount of time that you've had credit. So if you got your first credit card at 18 in college and you made all of the monthly payments and you paid it off every month on time, that's excellent. That will bump up your credit score. The mix of credit, what different types of credit do you have? Do you have credit cards? Do you have loans? Do you have a mortgage? Do you have business loans, student loans? Those are the types of things that go into your credit. And last but not least, your credit inquiries. Okay. Credit inquiries are applications that you file for credit. So be very cognizant of that. Be very cognizant that you don't make a lot of applications for credit cards, that you're not always trying to get a loan from somebody. It's very important to those things, inquiries negatively impact your credit. That's one of the things that will drive it down quicker than anything else. Again, we talk about what impacts your credit score. Late payments. If you don't pay your bills on time every month, the people that you owe, the debtors, will report that to the credit agency. Even if you pay them every month, late payments negatively impact your credit report. You have to pay your bills by the due date. Otherwise, they negatively impact your credit report. Now, there are some companies that give you a grace period. Most do not. So be mindful of paying your bills on time every month. I know it's difficult for some people, but you got to do it to maintain your good credit rating. Excessive credit utilization. Don't use credit for everything. A lot of people buy groceries on their credit card. They do their shopping. Try to avoid that. Try not to overuse your credit. Try not to overextend yourself. A short credit history. One of the things that you'll learn is bad credit is better than no credit. And some of you are shaking your heads, I see, and saying, how can that be true? Well, what bad credit shows is that at some point in your life, somebody thought that you were credit worthy. And there are things that you did to negatively impact the credit, but at some point, somebody thought you were credit worthy. No credit means that at no point did anybody think you were credit worthy. And that negatively impacts your credit as well, even more so than bad credit. Okay, only one type of credit. You should have a mix of credit. You should have credit cards, maybe one or two, not 6 or 7. There should be, you should have a loan history, a mortgage, an auto loan, student loan that you're paying back, of course, because thanks to our Supreme Court, your student loan payments start back in October. So be mindful of that, that you're making sure you're making your payments on time. And again, we go back to the credit inquiries, too many new applications. We all get those emails every day with a credit card saying, hey, get our credit card. You don't want to apply for those credit cards. You don't want to apply for store credit cards. My mom used to work at J.C. Penney years and years ago. And every time I would go in the store, she would say, hey, how about you fill out a credit app? Because they got points for the number of credit applications that they got filled out. Well, what they don't tell you is those credit apps negatively impact your credits. Every time you fill out an application for a store credit card or anything like that, it negatively impacts your credit. So you do not want to fill out a lot of credit applications. Okay. If you need a credit application at a store, make it a store where you shop pretty regularly. If you don't shop there regularly, you don't really need their credit because you're never going to use it anyway, whether they give it to you or not. Okay. Next, credit reports must be 100% accurate, entirely fair, and fully substantiated. Your credit report has to be 100% accurate, which means it must contain the correct information, your legal name, social security number, current address, and all of the entries on your credit report have to be valid. Remember, we talked about earlier that 1 in 5 credit reports has an error of some type. Check your credit report to make sure that everything is accurate and that make sure that it's you. Make sure everything on there, every entry on there is something that you bought. Again, I go back to the brand new Acura that a client of mine found on their credit. Be careful of things like that. Be very, very cognizant of things like that. Don't just gloss over your credit report. Look at every entry and make sure that it's something that you purchased or an entry that should be on it, okay? Contacting your credit bureau. You can file a formal dispute at any of the credit bureaus once you get your credit report. Again, that is Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Their information is on your credit report. It details how you contact them with a dispute. Okay. You want to file a formal letter of dispute. That dispute has to be, it's a detailed explanation of the error with documentation. So if it's, say you had, and I'm dating myself here, say you had an old May Company account, and that May Company account, you had a May Company charge, and that May Company charge is still on your credit report 20 years after it should be. You want to detail that you did have a May Company account, but that the entry is more than 7 years old and should be removed. Okay. You must file each dispute separately, which means every error on your credit report that you find, you have to dispute it separately. There is no blanket form for disputing negative entries on your credit report. You have to take each one and dispute it in this form. You have to dispute it separately. Write as much as you can about why the entry should be removed. Okay, as much as you can. Give them as much information as you possibly can about why the negative entry should be removed. That will go a long way to them removing, especially if the dispute is about something that is, if it's identity theft or it's something that it shouldn't be. Okay. You have the option to hire a credit repair firm. There are a plethora of companies and individuals that claim to do credit repair. Be very, very careful about who you give your information to. The range of these companies, I've seen ranges from as low as $50 all the way up to $499 for some of the credit repair firms. Do your due diligence. Investigate these companies. Check with the Better Business Bureau about what these companies can and cannot do, or have and have not done. That's your best source for checking out these credit repair companies. They will do the work for you. All of the work we just detailed, they will do that for you, but you have to provide the documentation that they need. If it's not you, if if it's not you, if there's an older entry that should be removed, you have to provide that documentation to them. They will not go out and get it for you. Best way to repair your credit is to work with a nonprofit credit counseling service. And if you're in Northeast Ohio, as a SCORE volunteer, I'm not supposed to recommend a specific organization or company, but Consumer Credit Counseling Service is just outstanding. They are just the best at helping you get negative entries off your credit report. They help you with budgeting, a whole range of things that they help you with for improving your credit. So I'm not recommending them, wink, wink. I'm just saying that they are an excellent resource. One of the things you can do to improve your credit is apply for a small personal loan, generally $5,000 or less, something that you can pay back relatively easily and relatively quickly. It will help if you make the payments each month on time. It will help you to restore your credit. You can use a balance transfer credit card. I don't recommend that, but it is an option. Different credit cards have different balances, different balance transfer options. But again, that's kind of an iffy proposition. Ask a friend or family member for help. Well, not all of us are in a position to do that, but if you are, it's an option. I won't speak on that anymore because, for a lot of us, that's not a realistic option. So, cash out your car or refinance your car loan. A lot of those, especially now with the new loans, 72-month terms, a lot of us are underwater on our auto loans. If you're in a position to refinance your auto loan, that's another option. Again, it's not a good one, but it is an option for fixing your credit and restoring it. Home equity loan, basically the same thing. These aren't really the best options. They are options, which is why we have them listed here, but they're not really the best options for anybody, because what will end up happening is it'll get you into more debt. It just they're not anything that I would recommend. The last one, a retirement account loan, I definitely wouldn't recommend. Leave your retirement savings alone. Leave your retirement savings alone. I mean, unless it is a case of a dire emergency, do not touch your retirement savings. It's called retirement savings for a reason. You do not want to go dipping into your 401k. You do not want to go dipping into your IRA. The penalties for getting money out of your IRA and your 401k, the penalties are substantial. And the IRS is a bitch about those things. So again, it's there as an option, but It's not an option I recommend, and I don't talk about it a lot because, again, it's an option, but it's not a good option. So stay away from borrowing against your retirement accounts, please. Please, if you don't listen to anything else I say tonight, please listen to that. Stay away from borrowing against your retirement account unless it is a dire emergency. And I do mean dire. There are lots of ways to improve your credit score. We will talk about some of them right now, because improving your credit score is important. It makes your life a whole lot easier. Some of us will have an 850 credit score. Most of us will not. But you want to have a good credit score, again, to get more favorable loan terms, to get a better rate on your credit card. Nobody wants a credit card with a 25% interest rate. You want to stay down around 12 to 14% on your credit card if you can. And the better your credit score is, the closer you get to that rate. Keep your balances low, okay? Try to keep them under 30% of your available credit. Try to lower your car payment. Or pay it off quicker. If you can, double up on your car payments. One of the seldom used options in car loans is getting a loan that you can pay every 2 weeks instead of once a month. Those loans are better. They pay your car off quicker, and the rate is generally lower on those loans. That's just an aside. But again, going back to improving your credit score, try to keep under 30% of your available credit. That's a target. It's not realistic, but it is a target. Okay. What we mean when we say apply strategically for new credit, think strategically. Instead of applying for a new visa, get a secured credit card, with a $500 or $1,000 limit. That way, you know exactly how much money you have to work with, and you can pay it off quicker. If you can, pay the balance when it's due. Pay the balance every day that it's due. So, or not every day, but every month when it's due. We talked about balance transfer to a lower interest rate. If you can do that, that's an option. Transfer your credit card balances, get one card, transfer the balance to a card with a lower interest rate. Bank of America is doing that right now. Chase is doing that right now. Some of the larger regional banks are offering balance transfer credit cards now. So that is an excellent option. If your credit score is 600 or below, if it is 600 or below, do not apply for any credit. Don't apply for any loans. Don't apply for any credit cards. None of that. Don't do any of that, because the inquiries will push your credit score even lower. So if you have a 600 or lower credit score, refrain from applying for any new credit. Practice good security. We live in a digital age now. If you are going to do business online, if you're going to shop online, I know there are some of you Amazoners out there. You know, do yourself a favor and get yourself a VPN. Get a VPN. Do all your business through do all of your online business, all your shopping, your banking, do all of that through your VPN. So it will make a big difference. Because you've got these identity thieves out here and they are relentless. So make sure you do as much through your VPN as you can. It will help you tremendously. Okay. Antivirus software. There's a ton of it out there. Use it at your discretion. You know what you do, or whether or not you need it. I have antivirus software on my computer, and as well as on my phone. So I just like being safe. Again, we talked about VPNs. The VPN is the best invention for the internet. It is they're just cool. So get one. You're improving your credit score. Like I said, it will lower your interest rates. It'll lower your mortgage payments. It'll give you better access to business credit. It will make getting business credit a lot easier. You will lower your insurance payments, and if you won't have you won't have to do any security deposits for your vendors, or like T-Mobile or whatever phone carrier you use. It will help. It will eliminate those types of things. So maintaining good credit over time is not as hard as we think it is. There are some simple steps that you can use. Creating a budget. If you if you own a business, get with your accountant. If you don't have an accountant, talk to a CFP, Certified Financial Planner. They are excellent with helping you create and follow a budget. Again, there are nonprofit credit counseling services. We talked about one, but there are a plethora of them out there that will help you create and follow a budget. These percentages are just a guideline. They're not they're not etched in stone. Use them as a guideline, but only what your particular financial situation is, so that you can be helped to make your budget. And your budget shouldn't be standard or stock. It should be based on your particular financial situation. Okay. Pay your bills on time. Simple and direct. Pay your bills on time every month. It will boost your credit score tremendously. Sign up for a credit monitoring service. If you can afford it, engage a credit monitoring service. They identify identity thefts. They send instant alerts. I know a lot of the banks now have, instant alerts for when you use your debit card or when you use your credit card. Make sure you get that. Because it will show, when your credit is being accessed, and where your credit is being accessed. And if it's not you, then you can put an immediate hold on your debit card, your credit card, your bank accounts, anything like that. You want to know when your bank accounts or credit cards are being accessed. Okay. things that we talked about that we need to remember. First of all, it takes time. It takes time. Negative items can legally remain on your credit report for 7 years. Okay. That includes bankruptcy. Okay. A bankruptcy can stay. I know there's this myth out there that a bankruptcy can stay on your credit report for 10 years. That is not true. A bankruptcy can be removed from your credit report after 10 years. Okay. Don't expect your credit report to jump 100 points overnight. Not gonna happen. It will increase slowly, but it will increase steadily. It will increase slowly but steadily. Okay. There are not going to be any major swings in your credit score. Okay. You're not going to go from a 350 credit score to a 750 credit score in a year. It's not going to happen. So be cognizant of that and be mindful of that as well. Okay. Evaluate your spending habits. Sit down and have a hard conversation with yourself and say, self, how much money do I make? How much money am I spending? And how can we change that? Only you know how much you spend and how much you make. So be honest with yourself. Have an honest conversation with yourself. If you are otherwise encumbered, then have that conversation with your spouse or significant other. Talk about your spending habits. Talk about your spending habit. One of the big conversations that you have before you get married or before you move in together. Have that conversation about finances. Tell the other person the truth about your credit. I pause there to let that sink in. You need to tell that other person who you are bringing into your life and who's bringing you into their life. They need to know the truth about your credit. Don't get involved with somebody and say, oh yeah, my credit's great. I got a 750 credit score and I have this and that, blah, 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 blah. And don't get involved in that. Be honest. Be honest about what you have, your saving habits. If you save, tell that person that you save. If you don't save, let them know that too, and start a program of savings. Start with as little as 5% per pay. Take 5% per pay, open an account, put it in the bank, and don't touch it. And put that 5% in the bank every payday and don't touch it. And you will be shocked how fast that will grow. You'll look around in a year and you'll have $3,000-$4,000 in the bank and you won't even realize. Make sure you do that. Okay. Educate yourself on your rights as a consumer. Okay. Now, I'm not suggesting that you read the Consumer Financial Protection Act. That's like 147 pages that tells you all of your rights as a consumer. You don't have to do that, but educate yourself as to what your rights are as a consumer, especially where it concerns finance. That is the least researched business in America. You need to know what your rights are as a consumer with your bank, credit card company, lending institutions, anybody that you do business with. You need to know what your rights are as well as your responsibilities. You need to know what they can do because, you know, you miss a payment, you know, they put a negative entry on your credit report. They're not allowed to do that. They're not allowed to do that for missing one payment. Again, know your rights, educate yourself as to your right. It is not difficult to do. So do we have any questions right now?
Yes, we do. So
Aha.
let me come down here and see. Okay. I have a negative on my report by a company who claims that I owe for a defective phone that they sent me. I contacted them to report the issue. I sent the phone back, and they in turn sent the phone back to me. And they tried to insist that I pay for the defective phone. They would not concede, so I went to Consumer Protection. The company, I went back and forth with the Consumer Protection acting as an intermediary.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, I found that the company sent the claim to the collections and drastically negatively affected my credit score. What can I do?
You can do exactly what we said. You can file a dispute you can file a dispute with the credit bureaus. Is it on all three of your credit reports? Well, that doesn't matter. What you can do, like I said, get a copy of your credit report. If that entry is on there, you can dispute that entry using the process that we just said. You can send a letter disputing with as much documentation as you have, all of the correspondence with the company, correspondence with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and you can send that to the credit bureaus, and they will remove the negative entry from your credit.
Okay. How do you handle credit cards turned over to a collection company?
How do you handle collection? That's relatively simple. Call the credit card company. Call the credit card company. If it's been turned over to a collection agency, call the credit card company. Tell them you want to make arrangements to pay them directly. You do not want to deal with the credit card, with the collection agency, but you'll make arrangements to pay them directly. Make the arrangements with them. What I would do is I would offer them anywhere between 15 and 20% of the debt to settle, especially if the card is closed and you can't use it anymore. Like I said, offer them anywhere between 15 and 20%. Hey, we'll settle this right now. If you agree to settle this right now for 15%, I'll make an electronic funds transfer and we can end this. And you'd be surprised at how many credit card companies will go for that, because they're paying the collection agency 33 1/3% of everything they collect anyway.
Okay, so if I have a store credit card and don't need it, how do I cancel it without hurting my credit?
Just don't use it. You don't want to cancel it. You just don't use it.
Okay, I have a question about paying off credit cards. I was put on a financial hardship plan with 2 credit cards. The total that I owe is less than $5,000, but I feel like it's almost impossible to pay them off because even though I'm making payments, the interest keeps going up. Any advice on how to pay them off or get them to lower the interest?
They're not going to lower the interest rates. Again, call the credit card company, make them an offer. Make them an offer. less than $5,000, tell them you'll give them 15% to be done with this right now.
Okay, here's another one. I disputed the information through agencies, gave proof of my claim, but they reported to collection anyway. I told them that I would sue if they filed that false claim. So I'm going to seek that avenue. By the way, my name is Emma. Okay.
Okay, Emma, if they sent you to collections, check your credit report to see if the entry is on your credit report. If the entry is on your credit report, then go through the dispute process and get the entry removed from your credit report. Now, I'm not a lawyer and I don't play one on TV, so I won't give you any advice about whether or not you should sue, but suing the credit card company will not get the negative entry removed from your credit. That's the most important thing, is getting the negative entry removed from your credit.
This recording, everybody will get a copy, a link to the recording and a copy of the slides. So as we stated earlier.
Okay.
Will your credit score continue to increase if there's a negative on your report?
No, it will not. That's why you want all of the negative entries off of your report so that your credit score will continue to increase.
Okay, is there any benefit from establishing a checking account with a bank such as Huntington, with whom you're likely to establish business credit later on? I've heard that minority entrepreneurs, specifically Blacks, facing higher interest rates, even if their FICO is excellent. Is that true? What can minority entrepreneurs do to combat this bias?
We're working on that right now. We Huntington, KeyBank, and PNC are under a federal order from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to make more loans to minority entrepreneurs. So we keep fighting that. There is a monitoring board being put together right now here locally to monitor those three institutions, because they don't lend to minorities at all at very high levels.
I was told working with a credit counseling agency, you look bad on your credit. Is that true?
That is 100% false.
Okay. It says, does this mentor offer credit assistance?
Excuse me?
Do you offer credit assistance?
No. I'm offering credit assistance right now.
Right, yeah. Okay, they charge me when I don't use it. I had this happen twice, and then they said it was a payment that didn't go through, but I told them I had receipts, so they fixed it. So I'm not sure exactly what that means.
I'm not hearing a question there, but okay.
No, not really. I owe less than $5,000 on my car. Do you think that I can negotiate the balance? Probably not.
Probably not, but probably not, because whoever financed your car, they have no interest in negotiating the terms of renegotiating the terms of the loan. So probably not.
Yeah, and if you signed an agreement to pay it, they've got you. I mean, that's a contract.
Yeah, it's right. You borrowed their money, they want their money back. Keep making your car payments on time every month.
If you negotiate with a credit card company to lower your payoff, does that hurt your credit?
No, it does not. You want to negotiate with credit card companies, especially on accounts that are closed. You want to negotiate with them, make the payment, and get them to remove the negative entry from your credit. And a lot of the credit card companies will do that. MasterCard is great at doing that.
Okay. What can you do when they keep mixing your report with someone else? And you have reported once they removed it and then they put it back on.
There's really nothing you can do about that, except every time you catch the credit reports being mixed up, call the credit reporting agency and make sure that they fix the problem. I've run into that problem myself with my credit report. There's another Curtis Scruggs in Enid, Oklahoma. They get us mixed up all the time.
Okay, I think we've answered all the questions. And it's just about 8 o'clock. So I think okay, let me just check and see. Yeah. Okay, I think we are done. And
Okay, folks.
Thank you, Curtis.
It's been a pleasure.
Wonderful. Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure. And again, thank you guys for watching and listening and being attentive. You know, go to the SCORE website. There's a ton of great information there for you about, their templates there, their information there. If you're thinking about starting a business or you haven't started your business yet, I encourage you to look at all of the modules in the SCORE Startup Roadmap. I'm going to say that again, the SCORE Startup Roadmap. Look at that and look at those modules. They will help you tremendously. I recommend that all of my mentees look at it before we start actually getting into our mentoring session. So.
And again, I just remind you that all of our webinars do end up on our website. So if you are interested in viewing this again, you will get a link to the recording. But in any case, probably by next week, it will be up on our website. It will be available ongoing. So again, Curtis, thank you very much. I think this is fantastic information, and we really appreciate your presenting it. And
thank you. Thank you.
Else, we're pleased that you spent an hour or so with us tonight, and hope